It's that time again! It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show! It's gonna get wild, it's gonna get wacky, it might even get a little zany. We're gonna talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about!
Oh, my good friend, Mr. Badger, better known as very skin-tastic with that glorious scalp of yours.
Hello, my good friend, Mr. Berkey, who's better known as Kevin Fire Photonsmeyer.
Oh, Fire Photons. Pew, pew, pew.
And how are you, my dear chap?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. What you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, I've been up to getting coffee. That's why we're late. Sorry about the lateness. The coffee machine doesn't work as good as it used to. What have I been up to? Not much. I'm getting ready for a big event which is coming to my local village called Paris de Ludic. We're doing a demonstration of games and hopefully get more people interested in games coming along to our club. So we're doing that next Sunday, the 24th. And also I received a Kickstarter through the post. It's fantasy coins, which
I saw.
Yes, you put me onto. And they came through the post. As you can see, these lovely big metal chunky coins which you can use to put in your games. They are very nice. They're a bit lighter than what they look, but they have that nice clinky sound. And I should have looked at my order beforehand.
Yeah, those were the feudal Japan ones that you just showed.
Yeah, I ordered them, and as you see, Berkey there, he sent me some beforehand, and so I have a big whopping bag of feudal Japan coins, more than I can cope with. Oh, so what have you been up to, Berkey?
We were just playing, actually, Marco Polo, and we used those for our Mon and our Yen coins for Marco Polo, so it was perfect for that.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
And what,
I just got my order of fantasy coins in, too. Ian's were just having fun freeform in here. Yeah. I got my fantasy coins. I didn't know you were going to do that, but look at this bad boy.
Very nice. What set's that?
This is the Waterdeep set for Lords of Waterdeep.
Okay.
It's got the little square coins too. They've got these great little boxes with these perfectly form-fitted heavy foam. There's the little square one. Yeah,
I actually do quite like the box. I ordered the dwarven ones as well. They're over on the table over there. They come in a very nice box. Very impressed, and the coins are really, really good quality. So,
aren't they awesome? I mean, this is I got the dwarven set, but I also got, here's the dwarven ones that you're just referred to. Look at those, and they're like three same ones.
No, they're different. I got the hexagonal ones.
Oh, you got those. These are the dwarven forge. These were the new Kickstarter version.
Okay.
They come in copper, gold, and silver. And they're like 3 millimeters. They're super thick. And then we got the Victory Point coins as well. The Victory Point coins, you can see on my shelf behind me, I have a bunch of these little boxes, little treasure chests. What's cool about these treasure chests, I get them at Hobby Lobby, okay, and you can get them on sale, usually 50% off. And these chests are really cool, but they work really great for the different coins. And for instance, here, you probably can't see this real well, but I've got the Victory Point coins in this box. And they come at denominations of 1, 3, 5, 10, 25, and even 50. And I think they come in the denomination of Presbyterian, Methodist, Catholic, and all kinds of other ones.
Oh dear. I must say I was a bit disappointed. I went to the website to see if I could order some more of the dwarven coins. because they were really nice. And they've only got a few lines available, which is a shame, really. I mean, it would have been good if they'd had like vast quantities in storage so they can sell throughout the year, because it's probably going to be a case of they're going to do another Kickstarter eventually, isn't it?
Yeah, they ordered an extra. I know, Tim, because I did a video for them, you know, about a year ago when the Kickstarter, and they ran into some production problems. Very frustrating for them with the Chinese holiday and some shipping issues. But they've always come through and delivered really well. And Tim, I know he's a good guy. He really wants to do this right. But sometimes things go beyond your control. And I know once they get their fulfillment out, which I think they're close to doing, that then the bookstore will be open and whatever excess stock they have will become available. And I don't know for sure what their stock levels are and all of that, but I know that that was his intention at the time. But, you know, check them out. We weren't planning on doing a promo here for them, but it's Fantasy Coins LLC. And Tim West is the owner of that, and I just think they did a fantastic job. These are some of the best coins I've ever seen. Yeah,
they are super.
Yeah, well, that was kind of cool. Well, I've been up to all kinds of stuff. I've got some exciting news that's happening. You know, for Board Game Theater, our last episode that we did was Tiny Epic Western. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you can go to YouTube to Board Game Theater, and you can see Tiny Epic Western. And right before that, we did Blood Rage, epic episodes of Blood Rage with Lance Meister. But we've been a little bit on a hiatus. My son is in college, and so getting our filming schedules together and these type of things. My mother has Alzheimer's, and we've had to move her, and a lot of different things going on in our life to where we haven't been able to produce as much as we'd like. But we've actually been filming for Board Game Theater, and we have 2 exciting episodes coming up. So stay tuned for that. But one of them, it's going to be a mini Board Game Theater episode. This is going to be so cool. Look at this. Onitama. You see that?
Is that the new Dice Tower Essentials line?
It's a Dice Tower Essentials. It's made by Arcane Wonders. And this here is the shrink wrap copy that is going to go out as a contest to our Berkey and Badger and the Board Game Theater listeners. And I will have a contest up on the website by tomorrow. And you'll just have to go to a couple of our sites and subscribe to us, and you're going to get an opportunity to win this copy of Onitama. And
if you're watching this video as well, I'll put the show notes at the end, probably tomorrow, underneath, so you can go to the competition there as well.
Exactly. Barry has his website, boardgameseverybodyshould.com. Fantastic, really nice user interface on Barry's website. You can check out our Board Game Theater, or the Berkey and Badger old podcast, some of Barry's videos, and so forth. And anyway, we are filming a little episode of my daughter and I playing Onitama as a samurai and as a geisha. So big fun. And then, get this. This is a little sneak peek for all you guys out there. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Wait for it. He's excited. Look at him. We have filmed our episode that'll come up after Onitama, and we have special guest Mike Fitzgerald will be on our show with Alex Goldsmith from the Dukes of Dice doing cameo appearances in our Board Game Theater episode. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the episode is, but it's just a little teaser. You see if you can guess.
Look forward to that very much indeed. Shall we move right along into...
Let's do that. Right into the things that make you go, hmm.
Did I steal your thunder there? I thought I'd try it. Anyway, let's edit that out and let's kick some music in. Yeah, so if you're watching this live, hello! This won't be in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, baby. Things that make you go, It's our news.
Yeah. I'll stop it there.
So, well, Barry, tell us, what things in the news are making you go,
What things have been making me go, I will go to the screen share.
Yeah,
and I will click on the page.
Oh, screen share. I love screen share.
What's been making me go is the announcement of Star Trek Panic. Now, if you don't know what Star Trek is, you better wake up and smell the cheese.
Live long and prosper.
Star Trek is that TV show where the spaceship travels through space and lands on planets and they meet aliens and stuff. Yeah, and they've now put the Star Trek license on Castle Panic.
Castle Panic.
And this might tie in a bit with our theme for the show, new skin. It is new skin. I've got so many words going through my head. Yeah, new skin. Okay. And so this has been making me go because, one, it's Star Trek. 2, it's Castle Panic. And 3, it's Star Trek Castle Panic, but quite a bit different from what I've heard. So I am intrigued, and it's made me go,
But why do we need another Star Trek game?
Well, a Bones. You want me to do a Bones now? Okay.
Bones.
Jim, I don't know. I'm a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist.
But are there any beautiful women in this show that I can kiss?
Maybe you want to rip your blouse a little bit, Captain Nacho.
Inside joke.
Yeah.
Well, things that make you go home. Star Trek Panic. Actually, this goes right along with what I was going to talk about, and that is at the Gama trade show. Just a little bit of a plug here, if you will, but the Dice Tower Network, the Dice Tower actually filmed tons of episodes of Gama, little segments of Gama where they met with publishers and talked about new things that were coming out. And the thing that made me go, about Gama was just the amount of material that the Dice Tower put out regarding it. I thought it was fantastic, but a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I can't go through all of that Gama stuff. I mean, there's so much information. So that made me go, wow, do we have an overload of content coming at us and an overload of games? It's like, I can't keep track of it all.
Yeah,
mind blow.
Yeah. I mean, I was the use of props. I was mind blown, and I was also a bit traitorous because I was actually watching Board Game Geek streaming live from Origins instead of the other guys that you mentioned.
Oh, from Gama?
Yeah, from Gama. Yeah, sorry. So I feel a bit bad for that.
You are a podulterer.
What's that mean?
It means you're committing podultery.
I won't ask what that is.
Because you're cheating on your main podcast and going to another podcast. You're going to Board Game Geek instead of Dice Tower Con. Podulterer!
Okay, we've just invented another new word.
No, okay, so I did actually get to see the Gama show where the Dice Tower talked with, is it USA Opley, who produces Castle Panic? And I actually saw that segment because I was interested in Star Trek, obviously. And the way the shields are around that ship and the way you can add to it and move the ship, I tell you, that actually looked really interesting.
Yeah, I'd agree. And that's why it's been making me go, But we'll go more into that a bit later in the show in our Babble section. What's been making you go as well? Anything else?
Well, recently the Golden Geek Awards were just announced, and congratulations to the Secret Cabal Gaming podcast who became the #1 rated podcast on the Golden Geek Awards. A lot of other games. I think Pandemic Legacy was the winner of the Golden Geek. That was no surprise. There was several other games in there. But along with that, I just noticed that the award nominations for the Origins Awards have just been produced or just published. And I saw some things that made me go, and I think it's probably relevant for us to mention. Board game category, it says Champions of Midgard, La Granja, New York 1901, Orleans, and Star Wars Imperial Assault. Now I tell you, that's a fantastic lineup, but I got a problem.
What's that then, buddy?
You know what my problem is?
There's no viticulture there.
No, that's not my problem. I love viticulture, but that's not my problem. That's an old game. That's not last year's game. Okay? Let's get it straight. There's a problem. Look up there. Look up there. What does that say?
It says, let me zoom in. It says, Dice Hate Me.
No, it doesn't say that.
Francis Drake.
No, that's a different one.
Okay. That says cheeseburger with extra slice of bacon.
Okay, now you're really kicking me off. That says Blood Rage. You know it says Blood Rage.
There you go. I've been building you up to your Blood Rage there. So there you go. Job done.
Why isn't Blood Rage on there? I don't care. I know a bunch of haters out there on Blood Rage, but I'm with Tony Topper from the Secret Cabal. I love Blood Rage. You can't get enough Blood Rage. I've played it about 12 times, and I want to play it again. And I want to play it right now. I want to get off this podcast and play Blood Rage. That means it should be nominated.
Bye-bye then. See you later. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave Kevin play Blood Rage. Good night.
That was Berkey's little Blood Rage rant. But no, I seriously, I love Blood Rage. I think it should have been nominated. So that made me go, Some great card games there, but, there's another one that kind of made me go,
What's that?
Well, there's Seven Wonders Duel, The Grizzled, Medieval Academy. It's a card game. And I like the game. Nice family weight game, but Welcome to the Dungeon. And, I mean, what the heck? Where's Baseball Highlights 2045?
Yeah.
That blows away that. Give me a break.
Okay. Uno? I want to know where Uno is. Someone tell me where Uno is.
Yeah. Well, I would have preferred that. Okay, miniature games. Look at this. Footgrave, Guild Ball, Star Wars Armada, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Wrath of Kings. Where's Blood Rage? Did Cool Mini or not just tick off the whole Origins committee? Is that what went on here? Is Cool Mini in the doghouse? No, let the dogs out. I mean, what's going on? I'm not going, I'm going, I'm like fired up. I'm
Berkey's Blood Rage. Okay.
And then collectible games. Family games, though, look at this. There's one thing that I thought that, they got code names. Well, congratulations, CEG. Czech Games. They've done a fabulous job with code names. But then they got Code Mix, Doodles, Fuse,
and me want cookies. Sesame Street release a game.
Green Monster. Yeah, cookie.
Oh,
I don't know.
I bet
do you think that's a great lineup for family games?
I would say comics is pretty okay, but I mean, there's been a lot of family games out there, and I'm quite surprised that there's not better ones on there. I mean, I'm going to be talking about some family games in a moment. Unfortunately, they came out in France in 2015, so that's probably why they didn't make it onto the list. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of good party games and family-style games that came out. I mean, one should probably squeeze onto the old.
Well, they could have taken New York 1901 from the board game category, or they could have taken Medieval Academy and thrown it down in the family game category. It would have made more sense to me.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I kind of agree. I think last year I thought Origins did a nice job, and this year I just feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars and Mad is on the miniatures games, but not Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
I thought that was the better one of the two.
Well, there's no reason that as a miniature game that Blood Rage shouldn't have been in there. So anyway, I'm going to file some kind of petition or do some kind of online campaign. So Tony will back me. I know he will. Well, that was what made me go, that went a little longer than we thought, but that
was fun. And I'm kicking buttons like a monkey now, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. There we go.
Never give a monkey a keyboard or a podcast. Okay, so we're going to move right along to our section, the good, the not so bad, and the ugly.
The good.
There it is.
The not so bad. Wait for it. And the ugly.
The ugly.
Oh,
Well, this is our segment where we talk about some of the games we played. Why don't you take away and explain how we do this, Barry?
Yes, I'll good,
Sir
the bad,
Badger.
Sir Badger.
Sir Badger.
Sir Badger of Babblelot. Yes, Miss Molly Pretty. Okay,
Yes.
it's our first impressions section where we're going to be talking about games that we've played the once or maybe twice if we played it back-to-back kind of thing, and give you our first impressions. We would call a game good, like, I keep pushing the wrong button. That one.
Button.
We would call a game good if we've played it and we've really enjoyed it and we'd love to play it again. And as you can see here, our theme is retheming. And here's a still from Star Trek, the new one, where new Spock meets old Spock. And new Spock is saying,
I
bet
both
it
have
is
scissors.
and old Spock will be saying, old Spock beats scissors. Sorry, it's backwards for me. I'm going to have to turn it around. Yeah, sorry, I'll do that again. Old Spock beats scissors. But then Lizard beats... No, Lizard beats Spock? Or, no.
Lizard Spock beats Lizard Spock. Yeah.
So
Where's Sheldon when we need him?
yeah, well, where is he? So that's our good. We'll give a game a bad rating, which means not so bad, which means if we played it and we thought, yeah, it was okay. I'd play it again maybe if I was given the opportunity, or I might say no if there's a better game being offered to me. And here we have Evil Spock, because all characters are evil if they have goatees. That's why I don't
the
have
Mirror episode of the classic Star Trek. Mirror,
and you have you have Bones saying, "You green-blooded Vulcan, I'm a doctor, not a gamer." Oh, it's Spock first, sorry. I've ruined the punchline.
Left to right, Barry. Left to right.
Left to right. And I normally read top to bottom as well, so.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you want to do Spock?
Spock says, Spock's doing the mind meld, and he says, "You will remember the rules to 3D chess."
And Bones is saying, "You green-blooded Vulcan, I'm a doctor, not a gamer."
Not so bad.
That's bad. You wait till you see the ugly. You wait till you see it. An ugly is a rating that we'll give a game if it was totally pants.
Pants.
And here, you have to watch the YouTube video to see this picture. It's Spock making a really, really kind of, what would you call that kind of face?
I'd say it's kind of like a gaseous anomaly face.
Okay.
He looks like he's having a gaseous anomaly.
He's cutting the cheese. And it's that moment when you realize that there are over 100 versions of Monopoly. Yeah.
Yep. Monopoly.
So there you go.
I actually looked that up. You realize that from what I found, 103 versions of Monopoly.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that makes me have gas. So that's our explanation of the good, the not so bad, and the ugly. So Barry, tell me what you've been playing.
Okay, the first game that I'm going to talk about is a game called Blackbeard, and it's
kind of like the brother to Whitebeard.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Here it is on Board Game Geek. As you can see, it's from 1991. It's by Avalon Hill. But I actually played the French version, which is Discarter Editions. In Blackbeard, it's a pirate game, right? Arr. 1 to 4 players. It's a one-player game from 1991. And
Barry, do you know what pirates' favorite food is? What their favorite pizza is?
No, I don't know.
It's pepperoni.
Oh dear. Okay, and
Go ahead, Blackbeard.
I'm gonna have to edit all this out, you know. Okay. In Blackbeard, you have these old hex-colored maps of seas, and you're a pirate. You take a pirate character, and there'll be some merchant ships which pop up, and you have to sail around, rob them, take the money, and hoist it back to a port to cash it in, and you get infamy every time you kill something or kill someone, or and then there's some boats that appear and they will attack you, and if you die, you regenerate as a new pirate, and the first pirate to get X amount of infamy and have the most gold is the winner. So what do you think I think of that?
Well, let me ask you a couple things. How do you move? I saw the map is fairly expansive. Looks like it's hexes. What is the movement, and how do you do that?
Movement is you'll have a card, and it'll have how many spaces of movement you can do, and how much cargo you can hold, and you can upgrade these ships with money and get bigger ones which go faster, have more cannon attacks, and so it's basically done with that and a dice. So you'll have a basic movement of +2. So you roll your dice. So you roll a 4 plus the 2 is 6, and so you can move 6 spaces.
Okay, well that sounds pretty good. You know, it's an older game, but you must have found out something about it you like. So I think you're going to say it's good.
You're so far from the truth.
Oh, good grief. Oh, no.
Man.
Ugly. Gaseous anomaly.
It was very, very painful. There was not a problem with learning the game. The game was taught pretty well because you could play it and learn it as you were going. The guys that were showing me how to play this game, they were explaining the rules quite well. And there are lots of rules, and these rules just kept getting expanded and expanded. You can attack a ship if you don't roll a certain value to destroy it, and you could make it run away if you didn't roll enough, or and it was all done with cards. There's a deck of cards, and so like if you approach a ship, you turn over the card, and it tells you how much cash it's got on it, and if you after you've successfully destroyed it, you draw another card, and that card will tell you if there's anyone you can catch on there. And it's all statistics. And so each statistic that comes, you draw another card. And once the deck runs up, you shuffle it. And these cards have all the statistics on it. It's very interesting. But at the same time, it just felt like Arkham Horror without the theme, without anything interesting happening. And totally luck driven, depending on the rolls of the dice and the cards that were drawn. It was just painfully dull. And to add insult to injury, our game went on for 3 hours, and there was 3 players. And
no.
Yeah, I did say, can we wrap this up when the deck runs out, because I am getting, and it was a case of one of the guys turned around and said, actually, I'm starting to enjoy this because I'm winning. And it's like, oh God. So we went through the deck one more time. And so I did suicide runs, and I killed myself 3 times, and that ended the game, because once you've respawned 3 times, the game ends. And then it's just the player with the highest gold is the winner. It was dreadfully boring. But the guys that bring it, they were enjoying themselves. It was like they were reliving their childhood through playing this game. So they obviously had a lot of love for this game. But it just felt so dated and dull and luck-driven. There was times I was approaching a ship and I went to rob it, and all of a sudden it had more guns than I had. And I was like, oh, I had to run away. And then there was another ship, I approached it, and it was a Portuguese ship. And each port has its own country of origin. So there's an English port, there's a Spanish port, there's a French port. And some of them are friendly to pirates, and some of them are not friendly to pirates. And the one that was friendly to pirates was Portuguese. So if I'd robbed this Portuguese pirate, I wouldn't be able to sell. I would be able to sell my cargo, but I would have got a very, very small amount proportion of the goods. And it was just, I was just running into bad luck and tornadoes, and other people were attacking me, and it was just like, oh, please end, please
make it stop.
Totally themeless, boring, lucky kind of. Sorry, Blackbeard. Bye.
Ugly.
Very ugly.
Oh, that's too bad. It sounded like it had a cool theme and a cool look, but yeah, nothing worse than playing a 3-4 hour game and then, like, I've invested all this time and
exactly.
Well, I've been playing a game. It's by a little known designer in the United States, a little known publisher by the name of Fantasy Flight Games. Some of you might have heard of them. They're not very prolific out there in the industry anymore. They've been gobbled up by a monster called Asmodee, North America. But they produced a game called Star Wars Rebellion. Well, I had this on pre-order from Cool Stuff Inc., and it came in before Asmodee changed the pricing. I got it for about $74, whereas now I think it's going for $175 or $380. Depends on where you look. No, seriously. You're seeing it out there. I think the manufactured retail on it, the MSRP is $99. Here you're seeing some pictures Barry has up on YouTube. One thing about the game, the map is expansive. We have quite a gaming table, custom-built gaming table that my inside of my gaming vault is 68 inches long by 39 inches wide. This map took up a good portion of the footprint. I was able to get the box there to take pictures, but with our player cards and putting out the miniatures and everything, we pretty much took up the entire gaming vault. Miniatures are from Fantasy Flight, and as most of you know, Fantasy Flight does fantastic miniatures. Now, this is a Star Wars theme. It's really going through, episode from A New Hope to the Return of the Jedi. Is most of the characters that are in the game. The characters are little standees. There's air combat or space combat, and then there's land combat. There's interesting combat system with cards that you can acquire by getting additional cards by rolling certain dice or having a leader, and that leader will give you abilities to draw so many space battle combat cards or land combat cards. The goal of the game, if you are the Imperial, is to try to find the Rebel base. The rebels, yep. Basically, the rebels are trying to prolong you from finding them and just kind of bide their time by moving down this track. And once these two tracks meet, where the Imperial moves each round, and then if the rebels actually get, I'm kind of babbling here. Can I buy a vowel? Yeah, the rebels.
I'm going to say that you think it's good.
Well, let me just finish this one thing. The way that the way the rebels are doing that is, if they complete some missions, they get to move closer to the turn marker. And if they meet that turn marker, the game is ended. And so it's kind of a race. So with that, what do you think I think? Good.
It's Star Wars. You like Star Wars, I know. And I've heard lots of good things. And it's like living in an adventure, or kind of like separate story, but in the same timeline as Star Wars.
Dun da da, dun dun da da, dun da da. No, that's the wrong one. So no, you're right. Absolutely good, fantastic, big box game. The components of this game did not disappoint by any means. This game is dripping with theme. This is Star Wars in a box. Especially episodes 4 through 6 there. It's just fantastic. The way the leaders and you get additional leaders as the game moves along, so you have more choices to complete more missions or to do more movements. Honestly, I normally do not care for hidden movement type of games. Deduction games are not my favorite by any means. However, there's something so thematic about us trying to find this base. The rebels I played the Imperials against my son Josiah, and of course he beat me, and that's just the way life is.
That's why you don't like deduction games.
I've never been a big fan of that style personally, but not that they aren't good deduction games out there, but there's only a few of them that I really care for. But anyway, Star Wars in a box. It's fantastic. I was really happy with it and really excited to explore it more. I think this is a game Josiah and I are going to play a lot of, and we're going to get a lot of value out of that game.
Cool. Yes, it sounds like fun. Looks like fun. I'm not sold on it because it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars. Well, if you like those movies, and I was a little disappointed with Star Wars Risk because there was a lot of hype, especially about Black Box Edition, and I got it, and it was fine, but it was just a little too simple, and not quite what I was expecting from what I was hearing everybody say. I'd play it again, that type of thing, but this one here was, oh no, this is a real game. This is awesome. And the card text didn't blow me away. Sometimes games that are heavy on card text take me a little longer to comprehend, and I feel like I slow up the game. I didn't feel that way at all with this. I was able to easily move along, and once I got the mechanics of how you retreat and how you take over different things, and we had several experiences in this game that was so awesome. I went in there with this particular move with Darth Vader, okay, and I was going to try to capture Wedge. Okay, I wasn't able to get him because he rolled this dice and he was able to oppose me, and he missed it. Well, because he opposed me and was successful, I wasn't able to bring in my Emperor, which would have captured him, and I would have got him on my team. And so he foiled my plans, but I was able to put Chewbacca in Carbonite. Oh. He didn't like it.
No, I can imagine Wookiees. Just let them win. Just basically
let the Wookiee win. Okay, buddy, what have you been playing?
Okay, I got to play a new game. It's a party game. It's from Cocktail Games and Moonster Games. It's called Imagine. And as you can see, it has these translucent cards with these kind of very simplistic images on them, like the umbrella there or the wavy lines. And in the game, you'll have a deck of cards. which will have like quotes on it, film titles, expressions, words, music, songs, everything. You pick a word from the card, and then you have a certain amount of time to pick these transparent cards and create an image and convey that word, that phrase, that film with these cards. And as you can see, there's quite a few cards, and that you can mix and match them because it's transparent. You can overlay them, so you can create. You can take a human and then take some arrows and then stick the arrows on their head, and then take the umbrella, put it underneath them, and make it look like a toilet or something. And you can also animate these cards as well. You don't just place them on the table, you can move them. So if you've created a boat, you can rock the boat, or you can have the boat rocking, then turn it upside down, and people can say, oh, it's Titanic. So it's a party game, much like Concept, but it uses cards which you can animate and create your own images with. As you can see, there's lots of different images there, and it's just a case of like making your own kind of cartoon, so to speak.
What are the ages?
Oh, good question. Let's go back to the page. I think it's from 12 and up, and it's a party game.
Wow. Well, I don't know what to say about that, because my own opinion of that type of game would maybe influence my rating. But your rating, I don't know. I'm going to say that you say it's not so bad.
It's good.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
good.
it is good. It is. I mean, I've seen Concept, which is a party game where you're trying to get people to guess words by placing little tokens on images, and that looks okay and interesting, but rather dull. Whereas these cards, you really have to use your imagination. And I mean, I was trying to explain The Simpsons, so I got these characters, and then I got this woman character, and I stuck this big blue thing on top of her head, and then I got the bloke, and I put a circle next to him, which represented the donut. There was another small kid one. I put these spikes on top of his head, and I just really enjoyed it. Again, I was demoed, so I don't know how the whole game works and how the scoring system works, but it was just fun doing that. Looking at these cards and trying to create these images. And again, I've been playing this game. Cocktail Games have been posting pictures up on Facebook every now and again and say, what's this film, or what's this song? And you just look at the image and you're just like reading off all these things that it could be, and it's really enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of this. And that is Imagine from Cocktail Games.
Imagine all the people
playing board games with us, you.
Well, I was playing another game. It sounds interesting. I've playing another game. I believe it's by Eagle Griffin, and it's in their bookshelf series, or whatever they call these, for sale. For Sale is a game of property and prosperity from Stephen Dora. Yeah, well, this is a game that we've had for a few years. It's a game where it basically plays in two different phases. The first phase, it's an auction game that you're going and you're bidding on these properties, and you only have a certain amount of money to do so. And if you pass, then you're going to get the lowest in value, and it goes around the table. And then after you've purchased all these buildings, you go into another auction phase where you use these buildings that have different values from 1 to 30. Or is it from 0 to 30? No, it's from 1 to 30. And you use those to purchase these money cards that are in denominations from, I believe, from 0 all the way to 15. And there's a couple 15s, a couple 14s. And at the end of the game, the person who has the most money, basically from their investments, wins the game. And that's about how For Sale is played. What do you think I have to say about For Sale?
I think that you're like me, and you'll find it's quick, light, fun to play. It plays nice with a big group of people, and I think you're going to say that it's good.
Ta-da!
Don't stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball.
Good time. Yeah, it's absolutely good. This game is one of those games that I've been able to use as a gateway game. When we have people who are non-gamers, I've been able to bring this to the table. New Year's Eve, we always have a big gathering of people at our place. Perfect for that environment. You can play this game in 15 minutes. For me, one of the traits of a good party or a quick filler game is after you've played it, when the response is, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And that seems like the way it always is with For Sale. We play it once and let's do it again. And it's just fun. I love the auction mechanism. I love the way the game scales. It scales very well. You know, you can play with, I think, is it up to 7 people? Six people. And it's just great. It's lightweight. It's something you can, it's basically just some cards and some little coins. So you could throw it in a travel box. It makes it really easy to take too. And it's fantastic for that area, that filler type of game, and used as a gateway. So yeah, well done by, now I saw yours was from Yellow reprinted.
Yeah, it's, yes, the new version, which is out at the moment. So it comes with really nice art. It's exactly the same, up to 30, 0 to 15 in checks. Very nice, kind of colorful looking game. But as I said, it's quick playing. It's very simple to teach people. And as you say, I mean, I took it for Easter. I was going to say pack. I took it to play with my family in Easter. And my mother and my daughter picked it up. My sister picked it up really quickly. My daughter picks it up pretty quickly as well. So she's 9. So yes, great fun game.
Yeah, it's great for that pub environment too. It's easy to get on the table at a restaurant or whatever too, and take it along with you.
Yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, one quick one. Another party game. As you can see, I've got it here. It's called Top Face, and again, this is by BlackRock Games. And in this, as you can see, it's still in its foil. We only just got it the other day. But as I said, I played we played a demo version of the game a while ago. There's 2 decks of cards, and they're both identical. They have lots of faces and images of faces on the back. And one pile is what you lay out on the table. However you wish, you can just throw them about, but you need to be able to see them. And the other pile is a deck. And on your turn, you'll take the top card of the deck, you'll look at it, and you will make that face. And all the other players have got to try and guess what face you're making. And it's a race to find the card. And if they find that card, they get a point and you get 2 points. And that is basically the game. You go around several times, and at the end of the game, the player with the most points is the winner. Simple.
How many people can it play up to?
It's a party game, and it says from 3 to 8 players.
3 to 8, wow. Well,
15 minutes and 6 years and up.
Because you have such an expressive face, this has got to be a win for you. You got to say this is good.
Oh, dear. It's not your day today, Kevin.
Are you kidding me?
It's not bad.
I thought you would really horse around with that one.
It's a good game, but it's not my cup of tea. But I can see this being a lot of fun with a lot of other people, you know, new people new to the game. And again, I'm going to be using this when we do our eventment next week. Put this on the table because I think this is going to make a lot of people laugh. It is really, really funny and really enjoyable. But it's not my type of game. It doesn't have enough there to keep me, you know, after playing it, we were like, okay, 2 rounds is enough. I finished. Let's move on. And it was rather kind of funny because we playing with this couple, and I don't want to insult them. I don't know who they are, but one of them had the same expression for every card that she had. It wasn't a case of she drew a card and all the cards that she drew were the same. They were all completely different, but she could only make the same expression. So she drew this face like that, and she went, and her partner managed to guess which card it was. And then she drew another card, which is a picture of a pig, because there's like animal faces on there as well. And she went, and he found it, and he was like, I would have never have guessed that was a pig. But yes, it was enjoyable, but it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I can see a lot of people having good fun with it, but I'll play it every now and again. Not one that I'm going to dive into.
That's one of those games that looks like it's really group dependent. You can't have people who are shy or introverted playing that game. You have to have people that are wanting to participate and goof around with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, there you go. That's our good, the not so bad, and the ugly. And we're going to go into something that's kind of fun. We're doing something different. Now, basically, what we try to do on our show is do things that are a little bit out of the norm from the normal review podcast. We're trying to add some fun and add entertainment value and just horse around and do that kind of stuff. Well, sometimes, yeah, just like that. We really are scripted.
Need coffee.
So we've decided to do a new segment. Every other episode or so, we're going to have a guest, and we have this game show, which we love doing with our guests. But we're going to do a show when we don't have a guest. We've got this new segment, and the new segment is called Babblelot, the Knights of the Board Game Table. Who are the Knights? Well, it's Berkey and Badger, the Knights of the Board Game Table. And we are going to, in this segment, are going to talk about some games that we have both played. Look at us. So regal. We're going to talk about... So what we're going to do in this segment, we're going to talk about some games that we have both played. Him being in France. Now, what has he got? He's got a game there. You can see the picture. It's La Gadepia.
Very good.
So
have you got it?
L'âge de Pierre. Okay. Well, yes, I do. Hang on. I'm digging. Okay.
Edit this out.
Here's another one. Oh, not that one. Here. L'âge de Pierre in English is Stone Age. All right. Well, Stone Age. We're going to talk about this game and some of the things that we like and don't like and think and whatever else we want to talk about. So tell me, Barry, about Stone Age.
Briefly, Stone Age is a worker placement game where you're sending workers out to collect resources or make babies or make tools that you can use to collect stuff and get points by either having huts built or by having collections of stuff and then multiplying with the special cards which have multipliers on it for either your tools, your workers, or your huts or whatever.
Yeah, I think one of the things about this particular worker placement game, in that you have a couple aspects where you can go and you can actually, Barry's making faces. Barry's making, he's still in that game he just reviewed. Yeah. That face was na boo boo.
Oh, na boo boo.
No, not Nabu. Okay. So the basically you've got this place where you can go increase your agriculture and get more fields, and that helps you so you don't have to produce as much food, because there's one spot that's common that everybody can go to. We can all go over to the hunting grounds and get a whole bunch of food, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But then the wood, the clay, the rock, and the gold, those resources there's only so many spots that you can go to. So the game scales pretty nicely, I think, whether you're playing it with 2 players or up to 4 players, because there's only so many spots that are available. So it's not like some worker placement games where you go there and that's all you, whoever goes there first gets that action. No,
unless you're playing a 2-player version. If you play a 2-player version, only one person can go and collect wood each turn.
Oh, there you go. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
There's the board. You can see them putting out. Is
This
the
makes
board in
very
French
interesting.
too?
The board, yeah, the board's in French. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all around the border. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. Blah,
All the way
blah,
up to-
blah, blah.
All the way up
Blah,
to
blah.
some.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, what do you think about the playability of this game, Berkey?
Well, I think because of that aspect where you both can participate in those worker placement spots. Yeah, it's got that leather dice cup. This is dice placement, so you're rolling dice, but there's some ways to mitigate the dice. And I like that a lot because you could get tools which will allow you to add to your dice. So from that standpoint, I like that you can manipulate the dice a little bit. And there's a strategy of doing it because you might, to get the wood, what is it? You have to get a 3 to get wood?
Yes.
For each. But then the clay is 4 and the rock is 5 and the gold is 6.
Yeah, and that's all multiples. So if you send a worker to go and get some wood, you roll 1 dice. And for each value of 3 that you have, you will recuperate 1 wood. So if you roll a 5, you get 1 wood. If you roll a 6, you get 2 woods.
Right.
Obviously, if you send more workers there, you're going to get more dice to chuck. So if you send 5 workers there, you're going to get 5 dice to chuck. And then you add up the values, and then you divide that by the number of 3 for wood. And that's how much wood you get, which is a really nice mechanism. I should really click on me so people can see me. It's a really nice mechanism. And of course, the more people that you have, the better chances you'll have getting better resources. But the problem is these people, they get very hungry. And so you need to feed them at the end of each round as well. And people complain about Agricola being nasty in that respect. This game is just as nasty in that respect. As Kevin said, there's a common pool where you have to send workers to go and collect food, or you can send a worker to build a field. And that field will give you food every turn, which is great.
Well, like Badger is saying, when it comes to food, what's interesting, that the people can actually eat wood. They must make some kind of wood soup if you run out of regular food. You get wood soup or stone soup. That's like the gray broth.
Yeah, that was our first game we played together on Board Game Arena. We didn't know how to play it properly, and he clicked on the wrong buttons, and he realized he got no food, and then he had to pay wood to keep his people alive.
Well, my people were eating gold, Well, and then you've got this, back to that mechanism with the dice. For instance, that you rolled 2 dice and say you rolled a 2 and a 3 for a total of 5. That would only give you 1 resource of wood because it's a multiple of 3. But if you had a tool, which you can acquire by having a worker placement spot going to the tool spot, then you can add a 1. So in that case, you get 2 wood by adding the tool to the combination of your die roll. Well, these tools accumulate throughout the game, and some of the huts that you buy, some of the buildings, will give you multiples at the end of the game if you have a lot of tools, for instance. And so there's a strategy of whether or not to be collecting tools or to be collecting farmers or to be collecting workers. And that's one thing that I really like about the game as well, is when it comes to the workers, you can acquire more workers, and the way that you get more people into your Stone Age family, of course, is to go to the breeding hut and have some aggressive breeding going on.
Yes, very aggressive with tools.
I remember the first time I saw it, when I saw Stone Age on tabletop. and they were playing that, and the one gal, she goes, I'm going to the breeding hunt for some aggressive breeding. And I couldn't help but just laugh. It just hit my funny bone. So whenever we talk about the breeding hut there, it's always aggressive breeding.
Yeah. So mechanically, the game is really, really kind of nice. It is worker placement, but it has these push your luck elements, and also these you have to really kind of outthink the other players where they're going to go, because each space normally is for one player, especially if you're going to collect a tool or build a field. And it's those spaces that are really important at the beginning of the game. But later on in the game, the other spaces can become important, like the huts. You might have enough resources to build a hut, which will give you a certain amount of points. Some of these huts will say you need wood, stone, and gold to build. Some of them will say you need 5 resources of any type, and then you'll get the points for that, however many resources. And also then there's the cards.
And that's one of the things we haven't talked about, is these cards are really end game scoring type of things, because they're set collection where you get multiples, and Barry's going to show you some of these on the screen here.
Yeah, these cards are like in 2. So there's an action which happens when you get it, and you have to pay for these with resources, and it will depend on where they are in this chain. So that's another strategy, because there might be 1 for 1, 1 for 2, 1 for 3, and 1 for 4 resources. And the one that you want is at 4 resources. And so do you use a worker to go and buy that and pay 4 resources now, or do you wait a turn for the other players to buy some of the other cards, because these cards will then slide down into the empty spaces. So they will have instant effects, like this one will let you take a stone for nothing, but at the end of the game, it will multiply 1 by the amount of fields that you have. So the more the kind of this card you get, the more points you're going to get for your field. So you've got to work out how many fields you're going to have. And it's a very tight balancing act, and it's all multiples. And as Kevin said, there's a bit of set collection. Some of these cards have different objects on them. And if you get a collection of completely different objects, it'll give you a multiple for each. And so that scoring mechanism is really, really, I don't know, when I play, I don't really think about the scoring. I just play and choose the best thing which I think is right for me then that turn, and may pay off later on. Because to sit there and to calculate, if I get that, I'm going to have 57 points. Yeah, that's really out of my league. I don't have time to sit and calculate everything. I just go for the best. I mean, what do you do, Kevin?
I think it's hard to calculate for sure, but yet on the other side, you need to be mindful of this thing and have somewhat of a strategy depending on the cards that you get and the multiples. Are you going for a bunch of tools? Because at the end of the game, that's going to give you a lot of points. Or do I need more workers? Do I need more huts? You know, whatever it might be. And I think that's one of the. I think there's more strategy here than you realize, and yet the game, I think, is pretty accessible. It's pretty easy to teach. The iconography in the game, I think after you've played it a little bit, it's fairly straightforward. The worker placement spots are straightforward, and the board is laid out in a way that I think is easy to understand and easy to communicate when you bring it to a table. Even with non-gamers, I think you can explain this fairly well.
Yeah, I would say that as well. I'd say after the first couple of rounds, if you've never played it before, the first couple of rounds have passed, you understand how the game works. But understanding how to win is another kettle of fish. And you will just play it, and after a while, you start getting a feeling of how to win at this game. And the other thing that I like about the point scoring is the fact that some of it is immediate. So when you build a hut, the scoring is immediate. And then you've got this whole end of game scoring, which is hidden, because these cards that you're recuperating, you put face down so nobody can see. And so only you know what you've got, whether you've got like a selection of huts or people or fields.
And that's something that I think is really interesting about the game in regard to kind of the timing mechanism of what triggers the end game. Either these huts are all taken up, or the cards are all removed. That's going to trigger the end of the game. And some of these huts, you know, at the beginning of the game, there's the one that if you have like 7 resources, I believe it's 7 of one kind, you get those points. Well, if immediately you were able to get that hut, and you were able to, prior to getting the hut, acquire a certain resource, like for instance gold. Well, gold is worth, isn't it worth 6 or is it worth 6?
6 for each one, yeah.
So if you had acquired 6 gold plus they were worth 7 each, that's 42 points right off the bat of the game. You know, generally that's not going to happen the first round or anything, but you know, nonetheless, it's kind of an exciting thing because you don't know exactly where you or your opponents are at in the game. We're going to go into a definition, and we're going to actually do a little bit more in-depth rating system in this segment of Babblelot, the Knights of the Board Game Table. And we're going to give you a 1 to 5 rating system. Now, we've never done this before, so we might tweak this a little bit. But what we're doing, if we give the game a 5, this is what we mean by that. If we rate it a 5, we absolutely love this game. It's a must-own, and we will play it whenever possible. If we give it a 4, that means it's very good. We want it in our collection. We love to play this game numerous times, just not quite a 5. A 3 means that it's a good game. We will play occasionally, but not necessarily a must-have. A number 2 is that there's some problems with this game, and we're not really excited to play it again and probably would not own it. And number 1, well, we hate it. We're going to throw it off the roof. We're going to burn it, and we don't care what anybody says about that. That's a 1. And now if we both give it a combined, we're going to give our own score. Barry's going to give his ranking. I'll give my ranking. And if we get a perfect 10, we're going to call that something. And I don't know what we're going to call that yet, but we'd like your input on the Board Game Guild 2248. Let us know what you think we should call a double 5, a perfect 10, for instance. No, the Dukes of Dice, they have a double boxcar. Both people throw a 6. But we'd like to get your input on this rating system. We wanted to keep it a little bit different and keep it fairly simple. But let us know what you think about that on our Facebook page or the Board Game Guild. So, Barry, what do you rank Stone Age?
Okay. Playability. Fun, as much fun as you'll get out of. Components are really good. It comes with this leather kind of cup, which is nice. It doesn't have to be there. The food tokens are not so great. The art is pretty good. So those things stand out and make it enjoyable. Again, it's all baggies, which is not my preferred choice of storing, but it works for what it is. The mechanisms are really, really great. The mathematics is a bit of a headache, but if you just play it for the sake of playing, it works really well. This game is just fun to play. It's one of those games that after I've played it, I'll play it again. And as you know, Viticulture is my favorite game, which is a worker placement. This kind of fits the same kind of exact kind of style. It has this nice twist to it, though, as I said, the scoring. And it just works on so many levels. I just love it. 5 for me.
5. Badger says it's a 5.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. Well, I would like to talk about it in that light, too. When I think about games, components are really a big deal to me. It enhances the playing experience. I thought the components in Stone Age were pretty good. They weren't stellar, like you say, the wood components. You know,
and the first player component as well.
That's
not too good.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
Mine doesn't stand up.
The insert for the game is, you know, one of those boring inserts. But overall, Z-Man Games put together a really nice game as far as the artwork. It's clever. It's kind of cartoony, but not. I don't know. It just feels really nice. The way they've incorporated that. We use the Stonemaier treasure chest for all of the components. So we've got those big clunky gold bars, we've got the rocks, and we've got the wood. And when you put the Stonemaier treasure chest in Stone Age, it just takes it a whole nother level. And that's the way we play it. So it's always fantastic. I think the card art is good. Yeah. See, those are very showing some pictures of the little wooden bits. They're fine. You know, they're Catan type of wooden bits, you know, so-so. As far as replayability, and I think this is something we can discuss after we give our rating, and maybe even discuss it in our Babble topic. But there's a lot of worker placement games out there. The thing that I like about Stone Age is that I think it's very accessible, and it's simple enough to almost use as a gateway worker placement game. Worker placement is one of my favorite mechanisms. I've played this with my family many times. I've played this with our board game group. I've played this online many times. I really don't get bored of playing it. So from that standpoint, I think there's a reasonable amount of replayability. I just got the expansion for it, which I haven't played yet, but that adds a little bit of extra to it. And if I'm looking at my ratings system, a 5 is absolute love, must own, will play whenever possible. A 4, very good, want it in my collection, love to play it numerous times, just not a 5. And if I'm being honest with it, there's parts of me that wants to say 5, but I can't say that this is absolute love, because since Stone Age came out, there are some worker placement games that I actually like better, but I still want this in my collection, and I still love to play it numerous times. It's just not quite a 5. And so if I was doing a decimal in there, I would probably say like a 4.9, because it's so close for me to be saying it's a 5. But I'm going to have to say 4 for that reason, because I think there's just some other things in worker placement that are a little bit more innovative, and yet this is really a great game.
Yeah, I would have said 4.8, but as soon as 4.8 is near 5, that's why I went 5.
Well, what do you when we go into our Babble topic, we're going to talk about a new skin. I think we can talk about this particular game. But I think Stone Age from Z-Man Games, and where it's being produced by what, Philosophia?
Yeah.
In Europe?
In France. Yeah, in Europe.
In France.
In Europe.
It's a great game. We'd highly recommend for you to take a look at it. I mean, it's getting a combined rating of a 9 from Berkey and Badgers, so that's got to say something, right?
It's almost on the table at Babblelot, the castle of Babblelot, I would say. Yes, nearly there, nearly there.
Nearly there, almost a sword in the round table of the knights of the board game table of Babblelot. So with that, that's our Babblelot segment, and let's move right into the Babble topic. Babble topic. Babble topic. Sound. Babble topic.
Babble, Berkey and Badgers Board Game Babble.
Still not.
Boom. Well, take us right into it. Take us into a new skin, Barry.
A new skin. Okay. Are you, like me, fed up with Star Wars this and Star Wars that? Is it all just a cash-in? Is it really just a cash-in when a game company brings out a game and then they bring out a different version of the same game, and then they bring out a different version of the same game with a different theme, and then they bring out another version? It is annoying. Where does this end? Where does this stop? When is it good? When is it bad for the hobby? Let's start with Monopoly. You were saying about over 100 different versions of Monopoly. Why do they do it? Why?
Well, because they needed to get Fergus Falls on the map.
Who?
Fergus Falls. We got Fergus Fallsopoly.
Okay.
Somebody made a version of Monopoly that's based on our city. Yeah, exactly. I think they ran around and did that with all kinds of them. What?
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Are you still playing that game?
Yeah, I'm still playing Top Face. That was the monkey face I was doing. I'll have to open up and get some cards out. But
well, basically, what you're saying, Barry, is that how many times do we need to reskin a game or take an existing game and just retheme it, and it's basically the same game? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Thank you for taking those words out of my mouth and importing them over the internet and making me look like an idiot. Thank you.
Yep. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's what we do. Thank you.
The monkeys are in town.
Well, Star Wars. Let's just put this one to bed right away. You keep talking about, are you just fed up with another Star Wars game? The answer is no. I am not fed up with another Star Wars game. Just keep making them, and I'm going to play them.
Okay, so you're going to play Star Wars Monopoly, Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, Star Wars Quirkle, Star Wars Timeline, Star Wars blah-de-blah.
Yes,
Seriously?
I am.
Seriously?
Yes, I am. Absolutely seriously. And then if you put Star Trek on it, I'm going to get that one too.
Yeah, see, that's where I drew the line. When I saw Star Trek Panic, I thought, why did they do that? I mean, the theme and the idea work really well. Why did they call it Star Trek Panic? Why couldn't they call it something completely different? Star Trek Save the Ship. Star Trek. You know, it would have been interesting if it didn't have all the same mechanics and it had, say, half of the mechanics from Castle Panic, but then a half which was completely new. And then call it something completely different. I think that would work really well. It wouldn't damage the image of the game. And then we would have a game which would be great. Because, I mean, look at Zombie Panic, which came out after Castle Panic. It hasn't had that many good ratings. It kind of like... And Castle Panic's not too bad a game. And then there was Munchkin Panic. I haven't heard anything about that. And it didn't do anything new, apart from it just used the Munchkin characters and it added one new small rule. I mean, why do they do that? Why can't they just take Munchkin and go, okay, we're going to put it onto the Castle Panic theme, but we're going to change this, and we're not going to call it Panic. We're just going to call it Attack the Munchkin Castle. It would then soften the blow for everything else. I think that came before or after that.
Well, obviously, there are reasons that companies are doing it, and they are playing off of a lot of it has to do with marketing. I mean, you take a Fantasy Coins.
Yes, it's money.
It's money.
It's money.
mean, but I think there's a deeper reason before it. You know, as a businessman, I understand marketing and understand a lot of these things too. And companies are in business to make money, okay? And they realize that there are going to be people who have different tastes and different demographics. And so they do this market survey and they find out that, you know, okay, well, Munchkin, that reaches to this audience. But when we retheme it as Simpson, you know, all of a sudden we bring a whole different audience that would have never played Munchkin, but they like the Simpsons, and so they bring that in there. Now, I don't know if they have a Simpsons Munchkin, but or Simpsons Flux, whatever the case might be. Yeah. They take an IP that is popular. Now, to me, I think it's getting a little crazy, in all honesty, when I said Star Wars and Star Trek, because those themes are so important to me. I'm total Star Trek and Star Wars nerd that I love them. And so even if I have another game that has the same mechanics, because it's been rethemed and I love that theme so much, I want that.
Yeah.
But if they were to retheme it in another theme that I could care less about, no, I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, for example, Timeline is a simple game, and they don't change the rules of the game. They just change the theme so it suits an audience. There might be something really a complex subject. One of the subjects that I love is the music and cinema one. It appeals to me because I like music and cinema, and I can go, oh yeah, I can play this with my mum and my sister because they're into music and cinema. And then there's Inventions, which I can play with my wife and someone else. And then there's history, which I can do with my father-in-law because he's a history buff. So in regards to a game which is the same, but it just changes the theme, I don't mind. But if Monopoly Star Wars, seriously, what is buying property got to do with Star Wars? Zip, nada. You know, I'm not opposed to Star Wars. I mean, I've got Imperial Assault and I've got X-Wing. And again, there's another good example. X-Wing and Armada. They're the same thing, but they got different names. And they're different. They have different sets of rules. Would you agree with me?
Well, yeah, but that's not a re-theme, I think. That has the same theme, but those mechanics and X-Wing versus Armada, I mean, you're paying the great big Imperial ships and the larger ships and the tactical movement. Everything is different about Armada, in my opinion. I think a good example of that would be, though, is Star Trek Attack Wing. You know, so X-Wing comes out and then Attack Wing comes out. Now, Attack Wing was different than X-Wing because you felt like you were handling these larger ships which had slower movement, larger hit points, all of that kind of thing. Whereas I think Armada kind of plays in as more of a reskin of Attack Wing more than a reskin of X-Wing, because X-Wing and Armada, I think, are different. I'm not an expert on those games, but I've played them several times with my son. My son's huge into Armada. He used to be really big into X-Wing. He far prefers Armada, but I think he liked that larger tactical movement, scale of it.
Yeah, and again, I would say that the names are different. The mechanics are quite a bit different, not extremely different, but you know, it makes for a different product. They're not just saying this is X-Wing. I mean, there's the Dungeons and Dragons one, which is the same mechanics, but it doesn't have the same name. It doesn't say Dungeon Mechanic. It doesn't say Dungeons and Dragons Miniature Attack Wing thing. It's its own element, and it has its own special powers, but it uses this flight thing. So it's the same game. It's been reskinned. It's been given a different name, and it's its own individual thing. Whereas a lot of these other games are rethemed, reskinned, and the same thing, the same name, the same product.
Well, back to when I said about Star Trek and Star Wars, you know, honestly, I probably wouldn't buy I think I do have a Star Wars Monopoly, but it's not a game that I would play. And I think I bought that many years ago. If they made a Star Trek Monopoly right now, I don't know if they have one. I probably wouldn't do that.
They have.
But you know, when Mayfair came out with Star Trek Catan, man, I jumped on that right away, and and I even got the new map. Well, the rule book that comes with that new map, I got to talk to the designer at Gen Con. This guy he told me about the process. He went into the geek culture to make sure those planets were aligned right and all of the different things made sense and yet had the integrity of the Catan game. And when you read that rule book, I'm like, almost that rule book was worth the price of buying another version, if you will, of Catan. But then I had special player abilities with the original cast of Star Trek, and it was in a Catan re-themed game. But man, I thought that was fantastic, and honestly, I would prefer to play that version of Catan than any other one.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking something.
I think one thing that just came out, we can come back to the Star Trek Catan, but just recently, one of our favorite family games is from Stronghold Games, and that's Survive, Attack of Atlantis. You know, great family game. Well, they just made a re-theme of that game with the, Mars Attack or Survive Mars Attack, and the Engelsteins have redesigned it and they've taken components of the basic game. I picked that game up at a show actually for $20, but it's still sitting on my shelf of shame because you know, I like the space theme, but to me is like, I think it's pretty much the same game as Survive, which I already like. Why do I need to have that one? But now if it had Star Trek on it, or if it had Star Wars, I probably would think differently, or Battlestar Galactica for that matter, because I love those IPs so much. Or if it had a Viking theme, you know, like the History Channel's Vikings or something, I probably would go, I don't care, I want that.
Yeah. I can see that it is like a magnet to some people. If they've got an IP on it, they instantly draw to it. Like Love Letter, you put Batman on it, and now I'm interested in getting Love Letter. But at the same time, it's like, why? Some companies seem to be based solely upon one kind of mechanic, like Flux. I was going to say Steve Jackson's Munchkin, but he does a lot of other things now. And if Fireside Games do the same thing with their Castle Panic, I feel sorry for them if it's the only one good thing that they can produce, and then just knock it off as the Experts Panic, or I can't think of anything. I can't think of any Game of Thrones Panic. You know, you're just trying to defend the wall.
I had the same. I was thinking about this topic, and I was listening to some of these companies that are producing a ton of games, and I saw like Stronghold Games. I think Stronghold has really done I just have a lot of admiration for Stronghold Games. Stephen Bonacore. They put out some really fantastic games, and generally when they put one out, I'm like, well, I really am interested just because they put it out. I felt that way about several other companies. Portal Games is another one that has put out some really fantastic games. You know, Ignacy Chevicek has put out Robinson Crusoe. Well, recently, Imperial Settlers is one of my favorite games. I love that game. But Imperial Settlers, from what I understand, is kind of a remake of 51st State, or at least it took some components from it. Well, now they're redoing 51st State. And then they're also doing this new Mars game. And I might be getting the two mixed up. Steven has a Mars game, I think, called Terraforming Mars. Or no. I think Portal Games has the one called Terraforming Mars. And Steven has another game about, I might be messed up there. Forgive me about that. Anyway, the point is, Portal Games is also doing this Mars-based game that supposedly is taking the main mechanisms from Robinson Crusoe. Well, Robinson Crusoe is fantastic. So just because Mars is on it now, does that make me want that? Well, to me, there's got to be something a little bit innovative, and maybe there will be. So, but why do I want to get 51st State versus? I know it's like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, because on one hand, you could retheme it in a theme that I'm interested in, and then I care. But if it's in a theme that I don't care, then I've already got the game and I don't want it.
I know exactly what you're going down. It's like the same with Descent and Imperial Assault. It is primarily the same game, but they've changed the characters, the locations, the missions. There's a little bit of gameplay which is different, but you can still get stunned. You can still block surges. There's still, it's just too much similar. They do have different names, and again, it does appeal to a different audience, but at the same time, it's like, I'll let that one pass. I'll let that one slide. But some of them I just can't let slide, like Star Wars Quirkle. I mean, what's different about it? Star Wars Carcassonne. Yeah. There's one rule different. It's like... And I was just checking that up, actually. I was wondering if it was actually called Star Wars Carcassonne or Carcassonne Star Wars. And it is actually called Carcassonne Star Wars. So I can kind of let that slide, because Carcassonne is its own thing. Like what I said with the timeline, it's like a game mechanism, and then the theme changes. So you can have Carcassonne, fields and sheep, Carcassonne, more buildings, brick, mortar, and moats. And it's still Carcassonne, but it's slightly different. Whereas a game which is just print, copy, paste, and you just put a name on it, change the artwork, that's
Well, it's almost like that. It's kind of funny. There's a guy on the Dice Tower's Board Game Breakfast show, and it's called the Board Game Makeover.
Oh yeah.
And he actually, I kind of get a kick out of this guy. I'm amazed at the things that he does, but he took a Carcassonne tiles basically, and he rethemed them with the Simpsons theme. I mean, the guy puts a ton of effort into redoing all this stuff, but it's basically the same game with just a different theme that they enjoy. I don't begrudge any of these companies from doing it, by the way. Personally, hey, more power to you. If you're going to attract another audience that, this is sad. Excuse me. I have 3 versions of Love Letter. I have the original.
Yeah.
I have Batman, and I have The Hobbit.
Right.
the original version I'll play with my daughters because they have the historical costume company, and they love to play. They love Pride and Prejudice and all that girly movie stuff. Whatever, I'll play it with them, but I'd much rather play with the Batman version. Guess what? The Hobbit is a theme that I love. But that Hobbit version, I'm looking at it right now, is sitting over on my shelf of shame, still in shrink.
Yeah.
Why did I get it? I don't know, because I like the Hobbit. So I've fallen into the trap. It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yes, Admiral. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It is a trap. I mean, when Zombie Panic was announced, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to invest in that because we like zombies. And it was like, well, do I really need to invest in that, or should I invest into an expansion in Castle Panic to make Castle Panic better? And it was like, you can't have everything. And now Star Trek Panic's out, and I'm like back in the same boat. It's like, do I get rid of Castle Panic and get Star Trek Panic because it's got these slightly new mechanics in it and it's Star Trek? Or do I wait for this other expansion for Castle Panic to come out so I can add that to my existing copy? And it's like,
well, it's like how about the new Star Trek Frontiers that's coming out? That's kind of a reskin of Mage Knight from Vlado Savato. And Andrew Parks, I think, is involved in it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not too sure at the moment. I'll wait until I see what it does differently. I mean, again, Mage Knight is not a game that I have, so I would pick it up if it was a good price and it was a good game. It's a retheming. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that are changed, though, because fighting Star Trek is phasers, which is long-distance attacks, whereas Mage Knight is swords and axes and things. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of I mean, there are some times that to me it's not valuable. Other times it is. So, ultimately, I think it's about these companies knowing their market demographic, and if they can bring more gamers into the hobby because they have a theme that sells and it keeps them profitable, hey, more power to them.
Yeah.
We don't have to buy all these games, but I think the problem is they have tapped into something that is happening in the industry right now, and it's called acquisition disorder.
Yeah. The problem is, do we want the world to go down the route of Monopoly? Do we want to put gamers off by bringing out 50 versions of Carcassonne, 50 versions of Catan, 50 versions, and then people just being, well, that's Catan, or, well, there are people like that already, but let's pick a new game. Oh, well, that's Descent. Oh, I'm bored of Descent. Descent's been rethemed in Battlestar Galactica. It's been rethemed in Game of Thrones. I'm bored now of Descent. Do we really want that? No, we don't. We get that with Flux. We get that with Munchkin. We get that with Monopoly. We get that. Let's move on. Create new things.
I agree that we want to see more innovation in the industry, but I'm also a little bit of a devil's advocate on this side of it. Is that these companies are tapping into a different audience probably, and gamers today, we're pretty educated. I mean, before I buy a game, I very seldom just buy it. I'm looking at 2 or 3 reviews, and when I watch those reviews and I take a look and read the information about it, take a look at the components, I'm going to see if this is a game that, I've already got a game that fits that niche. I've already got that party game, or I've already got that, personally, because I've got enough tile laying games. It would have to be something really special for me to buy another tile laying game, just if it was real similar to just a game that I already own. It's because I'm a little more educated now on that.
Yeah, I was just thinking of another. I'm just looking at it right here. Dominion. Okay, everyone knows Dominion's a deck building game. And then Thunderstone comes out, which is a deck building game, exactly the same, but it does something completely different. It has a different name. Obviously, it has a different publisher. It's two different things. I would like to see that in the world. I'd like to see the Star Trek Panic do that instead of just do a copy and cash in on the name of Panic. I would like to see, what was the other game we were talking about? Oh, it's gone from me. But I would like to see the game industry do that instead of, let's call this Game of Thrones Munchkin or Munchkin, It'd be more innovative. It gives us another avenue to go down. And again, we don't need 500 Star Wars games or Star Trek games or Game of Thrones games, because you don't. Nobody's going to buy them all.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it bother you more when it's the mass market games that tend to do this, or does it bother you when it's more the hobby games that are just remaking themselves?
It's the encroaching hobby games, which, as you said, they're doing it now, and that's worrying me, because if they start doing it, then someone else is going to start doing it, and you're starting to see it start to seep into our the games which are coming out. There's going to be a time when you're going to watch live at Essen with Board Game Geek, and you're going to go, well, that game's just that, but with that theme on top, and there's going to be nothing new and innovative. And it's just, Time Story has created a wonderful thing. They've created an engine, and then they can just plunk things on top, and it's the same thing. And they're selling. They're still selling and marketing their game, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's appealing to different people because they're doing different themes. That I don't mind, but just this constant recycling of copy and paste. I'm saying it again: copy and pasting, and then whacking Alien on top. Sorry. Come on, write something, people. Write into me and say that you're wrong, Barry. I don't think I am wrong, but it'd be interesting to hear what you think. Is it wrong to copy and paste, or is it okay to copy and paste if it's going to make you lots of money? And
I agree. I hope we have some people that jump on the guild and talk to us about what you think about retheming, or these pasted on themes that seem to get recycled or copied mechanics. And tell us how you feel about it. Go to our Board Game Guild 2248, or you can go to Berkey and Badger on Facebook, or you can join us on Twitter as well, or our YouTube channel and our websites. We'd love to interact with you and get some of your insights.
Yeah,
because I think people feel differently about it depending on their perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if there are any games that you'd like to see rethemed as well, write down what games you'd like to see rethemed and rethemed as what. Would you like to see? Would you like to see Munchkin Doctor Who, or would you like to see? Would you like to see Beverly Hills 90128 Panic? I don't know.
You know what I want, Barry? I want a John Wayne themed game.
Oh, that would be different, though, wouldn't it? It'd be so refreshing to have a John Wayne themed game. The Alamo
game.
The Alamo Panic.
Yeah, let us know what you think. What game would you like to see rethemed?
Oh, I don't know. I
don't think you do. You don't like this whole idea of retheming.
It's really hard. I wouldn't mind seeing Babylon 5 being put onto Twilight Imperium, because it does have that theme of different races having different powers, having a different objective. and character progression. That would be interesting to put into a game. So, you start off as maybe angry about that with them, but then you have a card which says, well, maybe they're nice people. I don't know, but definitely don't want to see. I don't want to see Babylon 5 Connect 4. That's for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not really. There isn't anything that I'm really anticipating or excited that would be rethemed necessarily. That were like really good games. Like I know the one game that I think about this is the game Dune, and then it was not available, and then Fantasy Flight, because of copyrights and so forth, then they made Rex, and Rex is in that whole Twilight Imperium universe, which that universe to me is unbelievable. I still remember the day we were driving to the Fantasy Flight Game Center, their grand opening, and my son was reading me the story, the backstory of Twilight Imperium and the 2 expansion books. And he was putting voices to them as he read on this 2-hour journey. And I'm serious. I was like, man, this is awesome. This should be a movie. This is fantastic. And so that universe of Twilight Imperium, and they put that in Rex. Well, I know some people say they like Dune better. Well, I like Dune just fine, but I love this Rex universe. So I was very happy with Rex.
And that leads us into another question. Is it okay to retheme and reskin a game if it's no longer in print? Like what we were talking about earlier this week, Robin Hood was transformed into Sheriff of Nottingham. For me, that's okay because Robin Hood is not in print. And Sheriff of Nottingham is the same mechanics in the game, but they're just slightly tweaked. So I would say that was okay. If Sheriff of Nottingham going out of print and they bring out Babylon 5 Negotiation, where you had to smuggle stuff into Babylon 5 Station, I would say, yeah, that was okay as well.
So maybe the word is that when we have a re-implementation of a game, that might include a retheming and an improvement or streamlining of mechanics, that's okay. But just popping another name on it and having basically the same game, especially in a lot of these mass market games or other popular board games that we like, that's what kind of gets in your craw a little bit.
Yeah, I would hate to see a Grey's Anatomy Cluedo, for example. That would bug me.
Yeah, I hear you too. And when it comes to a lot of that stuff, I'm not going to buy Simpsons Clue, and I'm not going to buy Simpsons Monopoly or any of that kind of stuff.
No. Even though we do like Simpsons.
No.
Eat my shorts.
Shall we wrap up then?
Let's wrap up. That was a great Babble topic. We hope you guys enjoyed our new segment, Babblelot, the Knights of the Board Game Table. We'd like your input on some of these things. Tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, and then we'll ignore that. And tell No, seriously, we'd love to hear from you. We know we're a little bit different, and that's what we're trying to be. And we know we don't go into real in-depth board game review, but we're talking a lot about board games and what's happening in the industry. We love this hobby. And Badger, man, it is such a pleasure getting on with you anytime, and I'm so glad we've had this time together. So with that, this is Berkey signing off. You can take it away there, Badger.
I can I? I need to load my picture. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can contact us on these. I'm gonna put something different on the thingy, Bobby, on the podcast itself. And we'll bid you good night. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on our next show, which should be roughly in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, remember now too, that's Berkey and Badger at Facebook and BoardGameTheater.com. Also,
Everybody loves Raymond.
No, everybody. Holy crap! No. Board games everybody should. Board games everybody should.com and the Board Game Guild 2248. And remember our Onitama, this fantastic little game. No,
Take
our
two.
contest. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, can we edit that out?
Yeah, start again.
Onitama. This is a fantastic game from Arcane Wonders, and the contest is going to go through the end of April. You'll see it on the Board Game Theater Facebook page and on the Board Game Theater YouTube channel. You'll see our playthrough of Onitama in character. You're going to love this game. It's fantastic from Arcane Wonders. And with that, Barry.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, the speakers are switched off again. Oh.
We're so glad we had this time together. And now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.
In no time.
In no time.
Hey, hey.